Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Tape 16. It's a new program I came across. I'm always intrigued by new DAWs and especially the ones that emulate analog since I'm an analog guy. I actually have this one running in sync with my Tascam TSR-8 8-track tape machine, and I was doing some testing printing stems. I think there is a little bit of functionality between the two that I'm still working out, and I'm doing a lot of testing. But a couple things in this program that I thought were interesting off the top was, first of all, I went through the manual. It was pretty easy to understand. It's got some interesting features. All of the audio in out stuff is MIDI in out. All this stuff is pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to understand. Um, One thing I thought was pretty cool about it was there's like a community around this that does themes for it. This one's kind of looks somewhat like the machine I got going, my tape machine, but you can download these and you can. I was looking at them. Some people have made some pretty elaborate ones. It's got really nice ways to print tracks, which I sometimes find difficult. I made the switch from Pro Tools to Luna a while back, and Pro Tools was pretty easy to print tracks from either virtual instruments or things that I wanted to commit effects to. But the Tape 16 has a couple ways of doing it. The first is that I can assign the output of any track to another track. So I can do what they call bouncing, especially back in the day when we were working just on tape machines. Sometimes you would have to bounce tracks because you were running out of tracks and you needed more. So maybe track one and two have an effect on it that you want to commit. Maybe you would bounce those down to a single track down at 8 so that you can free them up for other things. And then again, you have less decisions in the end. You are committing that to tape. But another really interesting thing I found in Tape 16 is that there's a couple different ways to put plugins on the tracks. And one of the first one is called the Mix Effects. My digital studio is based around a Softube Console 1 system. So I have the Console 1 on this track here, but basically anything you put on a mix effect is something that you can still alter after the fact. Like I can record into this if I want to up the reverb or whatever effect I have on this, I can still mess with it. But if I choose it as a print effect, which you see here, I have a guitar effect on this one. Anything I play through this while recording will commit that to the tape. It's very much just like having a microphone up to an amp that you have a pedal going through your guitar signal or whatever. You're capturing that effect into the track. But here it's this, so this is basically just an effects chain that's before the fact. So it's an interesting thing because I like that. Sometimes I want to just commit the sound I have and that be it, not have the option of messing with it later. So that's kind of interesting how you can just straight print. This deck has 16 tracks you can record into. It's destructive, meaning that I have to record over something. Every time I go back and start recording on a track, it will destroy what I recorded before. So it's not like other DAWs where still might have that wave behind the new wave and, multiple takes type thing isn't happening here. It gives you two buses and four sends, which give you some options. I've been recording in analog studios for almost 35 years now. Besides the natural saturation and warmth that goes along with magnetic particles absorbing the sound, I think that the beauty of analog is often it forces you to concentrate on the performance since editing after the fact is actually quite difficult. You end up with less options and decisions in the end. And I think that's important because we live in a time where there's just infinite possibilities, and sometimes you can really get lost in how many possibilities there are when sometimes it's great to just have, no, I just have everything committed to this mix. I have this 16 tracks that I just need to figure out the levels for. But so far, I'm really liking this. It seems really stable. I've been, getting some great sounds in it, and it's very straightforward and simple, and it emulates tape great. So I'm going to keep testing it, and I'm going to post some more videos. One other little comment I want to say is on tape speed. In my experience with tape machines, you often want to run them as fast as possible. At least that's what I've traditionally done. This one gives most of the ones I have, I think, only give you the option of either 7.5 or 15 IPS. This one gives you 30, but if you look here and I click on 30, it actually has this warning that comes up and it says that this is experimental and going either lower or higher than 15 IPS can change the sound and they can actually modify the pitch of your stems and all that stuff. So you probably don't want to do that in this. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to take their word for it and leave it at 15. So far, this is the most user-friendly analog emulator DAW that I've messed with, and I really like the build of this. So I'm going to keep playing with this and post some more videos, especially when I start getting into the soft tube stuff like I mentioned before.